don't have that one in here yet, but I'll just open the drive.
Well, whatever works. Then I'm gonna move this. Oops. I need space to move. I don't want to triple or record it. Not over that. It's really expensive. So, did anybody get their homework done? As much as I could. See people like some people, yay.
Okay,
That's
here's
important.
these two, and then I'll put the other one in there and we'll.
Okay.
Hey, Kelly. I didn't have access to the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I need to get that.
Do you have the folder? Because Kelly's been adding things to the folder.
So, yeah, you should all be able to access the link that I emailed out, put it in the event and private message a lot of you.
Things out on Google Drive to the block.
So
So,
you do?
Oh, yeah.
It is locked. I had it. Right.
okay, while Kelly works on that, I'll do a little bit of a setup for today and an introduction. Today is a really important day for all of you for your businesses. Having a plan gives you the opportunity to know where you're going or where you want to go. And by holding yourself accountable and paying attention, you'll be able to see if you're getting off track and you can right yourself and make your way back to what you need to be doing to reach your goals. Okay. We know that military and a mission, there's always a plan. And they break it down step by step. That's what a business plan is. You're going to break it down step by step, but we need to know where you want to go first. And then we're going to track back and say, okay, what do I need to do now? What do I need to do in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? And we're going to help you have a plan for that. For those of you that don't know who I am Chris Ruskowitz. I am a rainmaker. I am an investor in the Market Center. And in February, I will celebrate, I don't know if celebrate's the right word, 29 years in this industry. That's a long time. And there have been days where I'm like, why am I still doing this, right, Dave? The recession hit in 2008. We all went, oh my gosh, I need to go find a job because I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, but we're still here. So it's all good. So I've been with Keller Williams since 2015. In addition to being an investor, I am currently on the path to, by March of 2023, become a MAPS coach. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So I want to be able to help you get through what is most important to you in your business plan to help you live your life by design. Okay, so we want to map it out, but we need to know where it is that you want to go. And when I say that, what is important to you to accomplish in 2023? So when I gave you all that homework, when Kelly sent you the link.
Which, let me just say, the one that was locked was the one that we're going over today that I wanted to keep it more simple. The one that was open was the homework. So I didn't want to give you access to both so that you're like doing stuff that you didn't have to. So now it's all open. So if you go to the drive, it should be open.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate your technical help too.
And yes, and I sent it to you yesterday.
So, do you guys have access to that? Are you able to get in?
No, it's not.
Okay. So for those of you that have done the Life by Design before, this is an updated version. So if you have the one with all your numbers already in it, if you can, either open up your old one or move it into this one. Who can tell me what Keller Williams definition is of Life by Design? Nobody? What would you think if I said, I want to help you live your life by design? What would you think that I meant by that?
Designing your own pathway.
Design your own pathway. That's good. Thank you. How many of you have really clear ideas of what you want to accomplish in 2023, not just the number of transactions? Okay, so when we talk KW Speak Life by Design, what we're going to walk through in this spreadsheet, I'm hoping you all can open it up or you have your paper copy from the homework, is how much money do you need to cover your expenses and do the things that you want to do in 2023? Is it pay off debt? Is it take your kids on a Disney cruise? Is it to fund your grandkids' college education? What is it that is important to you to accomplish in 2023 so that we know what it is, about how much money it's going to take to do that and monetize it? Because now you can look at it and go, huh, okay, now let's look at how many transactions do I need to do in 2023 to make that happen? Right? That's why I asked, do you know what your average sale price is? Do you know what your average commission is? Do you know what your conversion rates are? Most of you don't because you're not tracking it. And I'm going to strongly encourage that. We have a new year coming up. This is the time to reset, guys. This is the time to track your numbers so you know when you're lead genning. I know I have to make 19 calls to get a lead. I have to get 2 leads to get an appointment. By knowing that, I can say, okay, and my conversion rate on appointments, and everybody will kind of use what, if you don't know what it is, and most of you won't, we're going to use what the average is, what kind of an industry standard is. I know mine is higher because I work by referral, and I've spent 20 years building a referral business. So I know that when I go on an appointment, there's a 95% probability that I'm going to walk away with a listing. Okay, yours might be 70%, 75, might be less if you're working Zillow leads or other kinds of cold leads. It just depends. Okay, so that's what we want to know. And by knowing that information, now we can go and do what we call GPS. Old days was called a 135. Who knows what GPS stands for? Oh, she's thinking, come on, you got it. I know you do. Anybody? All right, goal. So 1 is 1 goal. The 3 is the P, which is priorities. So 1 goal, 3 priorities, 5 strategies for each. And I'm going to give you the worksheet for this when we get to that point. Okay. So what, now you can have more than 1 GPS. Okay. Like I have 3. I have a personal one, I have a real estate business, and I have my MAPS coaching business. Okay, so you can have more than 1, but we're talking business today. So when you look at your GPS, now you can say, okay, I know what I want to accomplish. I know what I want to do in 2023. I know how much money I need. Now we're going to go to the economic model and we're going to say, okay, now I'm going to plug in, this is my average sale price. This is my average commission. I want 50% listings, 50% buyers, or whatever you want for that split. This spreadsheet's going to then show you, oh, I need to do 37 transactions to meet my goal next year. And it's going to break it down and say, okay, if I know that I need to have 3 appointments to get a listing or a buyer, it's going to break it down and tell you how many appointments you need every week. How many people do you need to touch? When you break it down and look at it, you say, okay, every week I know that if I do this, and it's not every week because you can put in how many weeks you want to work. So average is 44 to 46 as we take off. Hopefully you're taking vacations and, trainings and other things going on. So let's say you're working 44 weeks and it says, okay, now I know I need to get 1 appointment a week and take 3 listings a month, and I can reach my goal. When you break it down, and now you can look at it and see how many calls do I need to make to do that, and then you are on track, and you have the roadmap to get you to where you want to be. Make sense? Okay, so let's get started. So hopefully you were able to take a look at this and fill it in. Oh, this is the pre-work. Do you have the full business plan? The one that I sent you yesterday, the full DM's business plan, we need the full business plan. Time out. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Not the spreadsheet for the DTD, the actual business plan. This is the downside to having the owl and stuff because I have to use somebody else that this laptop. So I'm gonna, okay. So if you are in, what I'm gonna ask you all to do is open up this business plan that Kelly just added. Okay, it says Dan's business plan 2023. Dan Tamarkin is amazing. He's the most engineering great realtor I've ever known in my lifetime. We are not going to use all this because all of us would be going, "Ah, it's too much." But the important pieces are in here. So if you go to the tab that says monetize my big why. This is the worksheet I gave. And Dan has just some numbers in here to be an example of what your life by design might look like. Okay, so you're obviously you need to know what your expenses are. You need to know how much it takes to live your life. How much money do you spend on food? How much is your mortgage, your taxes, auto insurance, all of that. So that's why I asked you to bring your expenses and put everything in here. Okay, so, and we're gonna take, I'm gonna explain this in the next piece first. And then I wanna give you guys some time to put your expenses in for those of you that brought them. I hope you did because you can walk away with this done if you have them. All right, so when we look at this, we're looking at personal expenses first. Housing, utilities, healthcare, automobile, consumer debt, if you've got stuff that you want to pay off. So your monthly cost, emergency fund and savings. Okay. Things I intend to do or get for myself this year. That's usually where people get stuck because we don't think about what we want to do for ourselves. How many of you thought about this and got stuck? See hands up. Yeah. So if you don't take care of yourself, what happens? You cannot pour into others. You cannot pour into your family, your colleagues, your clients, if you don't take care of yourself. So please don't forget to do that. That's really important. So things I intended to do or get for myself, things I intend to do or get for my loved ones, things I intend to do this year or get for my future. Okay, retirement account, investment property, okay, those types of things. So who didn't do this? Who does not have numbers?
Are we able to fill in this?
I made a
Yes.
copy to your drive.
Yeah, make a copy. So go to file,
And then it's got-
go to file, right under Dan's, go to file, make a copy, and then start filling it in.
I keep saying Google Docs and print error, please try to loading this page or coming back in minutes.
Are you signed into your KW? No.
Yes. Better be. Because, yeah.
So when you go to make a copy, it's not like. So you go to file and make a
I'm missing my.
copy. That's it.
I'll be just amends. Oh, okay.
So be able to do that.
I got it. I think this is different. Thank you.
It's always fun. Technology is like exciting and
No, it's
helpful.
not.
It's just not.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I want to give you guys 3 minutes. For those of you that have these numbers, if you don't, I'm gonna suggest you go in and put numbers in anyway of what you think everything is. Pick some things that you think you want to do in 2023, take a vacation, pay off debt, student loans, help a family member, give a certain amount to a charity or your church or something. So I'm going to give you some time, not a lot. Put your numbers in there because it's really important to have these numbers to go to the next step. Okay. So I'll give you like 3-4 minutes. I'll check in with you if you need more. Okay. So go ahead and do that.
Question. How is
We're going to give you.
I got the tone, this, you just understand.
Huh?
Yeah, my car. Right now.
Oh, so this is for. This is the ones.
Started screen sharing because I don't think it was screen sharing and Christina Forst is on.
Oh.
So, but,
Broke it down. $1,000. Oh, where?
I'm trying to find, where's the, oh, here it is. I know, it's such a pain. Okay. Is it okay if I leave the chat up just in case she chats?
Thank you. How we doing? Anybody need time? Okay, we all good? Everybody pretty good? Okay. So you've got your numbers in here. When you go to the bottom of the screen, now he has a salary in here, which most of you don't have additional salary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out. Not hooked up, it's so you've got all your numbers, and so now you can see what it is that you want to do. Right? Do you know what you need to pay your expenses? you need, you know, the money piece of what it is that you need to earn to live your life by design in 2023. So now, this is not. Try and get at, there's just too many things on the screen and I can't get at it all. All right. All right, so now the next tab is the economic model. So what happened was, and you can do this on paper, and we do, you know, a lot of times this is taught to do it by hand. It's way too much math. And if we have a spreadsheet that does the math for us, I'm all about it. Is that okay with you guys?
Absolutely.
So what we're looking at is this is based on the numbers that are in your life by design. This is going to tell you how many transactions you need, but you need to add some information. Okay, so there's 3 things that are really important if you go under seller assumptions and buyer assumptions. How do you want to split your transactions between buyers and sellers? A perfect world, it's at least 50-50, if not 60% sellers, 50% or 40% buyers. And that's pretty hard to do. Do you know what your split is, Jay?
I say 50.
50-50?
What? Starting out, I just say. Tell everybody this. Don't worry about buyers. So get
Right.
as many buyers as you can,
Right.
because they will be sellers. So it takes a while to flip your business.
I agree.
With the buyers.
Yeah, I agree. And so that's why I asked Jay, because he too has been doing this for a long time. Don't worry about it if you're 30% sellers and 70% buyers.
I was gonna say, I would probably.
Yeah.
Because of the way the market is right now, this week, I think it'd be smarter to over.
I agree. And that, yeah, absolutely. So don't worry about that. Ideal is 50-50. You probably want to be at least 60% buyers, 40% sellers, or maybe even 70-30, 65-35. I think we're going to end, you know, that it's just the way that the market is. And so don't, if you've been in the market business for a while and you want to be 50-50 or close to that, that's great. Just know that then you have to, when you do your GPS, your strategies have to be focused on finding motivated sellers, you know, in it more than what someone else who is okay with working with buyers. Because when you're working by referral, especially, it's almost like the referral business kind of takes you where the market is taking you. Okay, you can't, it's hard to control buyers versus sellers when it's a referral business. Now, if you work different leads and you're looking for more listings and your strategies then are highly focused on finding motivated sellers, if you want more listings than buyers, then you know that's where your focus needs to be. Okay, so now I'm going to give you, hopefully you have information. Go under the seller assumptions first and put in, only fill in the green boxes. Where would you like? Okay, so I'm going to change this. Oh, you know what? This is probably not a, oh, it is. So if you change the seller percentage to 35%, the percentage of buyers will automatically adjust. Okay, so put in what you think you want your percentages to be. Now, when you go to the next green box, average commission, most of the country is a 3-3 split. We are not. That's why this says 3-3, because this was a national training last month. So if you don't know what your average commission percentage is, do not do 3.6 for sellers. Because it's almost never 3.6%. There's always going to be adjustments for the 2.2, the 2.0. You may only have 1 out of 50 transactions, but the average, I think even for our market center is like 3.35. So I would encourage you to do like 3.4 instead of 3.6%. And if you do not do a 6% listing, then you know what your number is. If it's 5, and that's not a judgment call, that's a do whatever it is that works for your business. Look at the easiest way to do it, if you know what your average listing commission is and your average listing sale price, take your average listing commission, divide it by your average listing sold price, and it will tell you what it is. Tanika, what was your 3.35? I think it was on the listing side. Okay. And then the same thing with buyers. When you put that in, it's 2.4% is typically not exactly what it is. And if you want to just put it in at 3.6 and 2.4, that's fine. But I would encourage you to bring it down a little bit so that you have a more realistic expectation of the number of transactions. Okay, does anybody need help with calculating that, putting that in? We good? All right, so if you've got your percentages in of what you think they are, and I just tried to change this and it got messed up, so I'm trying to try it one more time. There we go. Okay, so now if you know your average sale price for listings and for buyers, put those in. We're on line 16. I just go back to his numbers. So average sale price. So now what happens is, and I may I might try uploading mine as well so you can see it. But when you look at it and you're looking at, you've got your average commission percentage, your average sale price. Okay. I know that there's 2 ladies in this room that when we did this had quite a big aha. And now we're going to take it further. Your listing conversion rate. I mean, typically it's about 75 or 80%. And what that means is your listing conversion rate is how many listing appointments did you go on? And what is the percentage of listings you took? So if you went on 100 appointments and you took 75, it would be 75%. If you don't know what that is, because most people don't track it, I would say use 80%. Okay. Your appointment conversion rate, how many leads do you get to get to an appointment? So that's the other conversion rate, is how many calls do you have to make to get a lead? How many leads do you need to get to schedule an appointment that you actually go on? And again, if you're working by referral, it's different. If it's cold leads, it's different. So it just depends on how, where the majority of your business comes from. And your average days on market. The average days on market isn't quite as important, but it is important, but not as important as the rest of the numbers. So for this, we're looking at, and he put in number of weeks worked, 43. How many weeks do you want to work next year? Typically it's around 44. Maybe it might be 36. Well, if we could do it in 4 weeks, I'd be all over it. Can you teach me how? Okay. So now, when you put this information in, so that's why I wanted you guys to bring this information so we can actually do it. If you look at this based on knowing your average sale price, your average commission, how many weeks you want to work, what percentage of your transactions you want to be buyers, what transactions should be sellers. You can come down and now look at this. It says to reach your goal, to do all the things you want to do in 2023 and have the money to do them. The total number of closings in this example is 59. Okay, now there's a lot of bigger expensive stuff in here that this person wants to do. It may not be 59 because of the lower rates and the conversion rates being lower. It says they're going on a total number of listings, 101, because the conversion rate's really low, 129 appointments. This is an example of someone that's a rainmaker or a team. Okay. Nikki, when we did yours as a solo agent, how many transactions did it come up with for you? 29. So when that broke it down at 29 transactions, how many appointments do you need?
I had 34 appointments, 37. And 9 weekly.
Can you do that? Can you do that? Is that doable?
Yes.
Okay, so did you hear what she said? 29 transactions to live her life by design for 2023, to do the things that she wants to do. And
34 listing. Yeah, 37 appointments total.
okay, 37 appointments total. That's not even 2 a month, is it? That doesn't sound so scary, does it? But yet it gets her 29 based on her numbers. Gets her 29 closed transactions, which gets her to live her life by design, whatever that looks like. Paying off a car, going on vacation, whatever that looks like. Now she knows if I need to have 37 appointments to get to 29 closings, now we're going to go, you can go to the GPS, which is your one-page business plan, and you can say, okay, how am I going to do that? And then the last piece of that is to take it to what's called the 411, which tells you every week, what are your goals? Okay, so how many of you actually put numbers in here and have a number of transactions that you feel you need? Okay, what, you want to share your numbers? Is that okay?
It's a lot. I came up with 50 closings,
Okay,
but in all fairness, it's kind of us together.
right.
And 87 listings, so total of 111 appointments.
Okay, so if you break up 111 appointments by week, how many weeks do you want to work?
I just left that 43 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, 43 weeks. That's
So it should say on there how many.
Weekly appointments, 2.7.
Okay, so 2.7 appointments a week. Does that sound scary?
No.
111 sounds really scary when you hear that big number, right? And you go, oh my gosh, that's huge. But when you break it down, that's less than 3 appointments a week. We shouldn't all be going on at least 1 appointment a week on the weeks we're working, right? Go on 2. Is it scary to think about going on 2 appointments a week? Could you do 3? Okay. So side note, next week we're doing a communication plan. I don't want anybody in here walking out the door if you're here next week to walk out without your 36 or more touch system, which is going to help you do this and automate a lot of it. Okay, and the next week we're doing the in-depth one thing time blocking class. And one tip, if you cannot make it, the one tip I'm going to give you that is huge, you need 2 planners, you need 2 calendars. 1, your digital calendar, 2, a paper planner. You should always, always, always have both. We'll talk more about that in that class. I hope that you can make, but here's the one big tip. Color code your digital calendar. Pre-book your listing appointments. If you need 2 a week, pre-book them. If you need 3 a week, pre-book them and make them a different color than anything else. And when you are doing your planning and looking at your digital calendar every day and every week, when you schedule one, change the color. Mine are gold. It's the color I hate. And there's the one I like the least. So I don't want to see it in my calendar, right? I want to see green. I change them to green. When I schedule the appointment, I change it. It says open listing appointment. I change it to the address of who I'm going to visit, and I change it to green. And when I look, I better not on Tuesday have any more gold openings on my calendar. That visual is huge. So I encourage you guys to do that as part of your time block. There's no reason why you can't pre-book an appointment, and that's listings and buyers. Okay, so when we talk through this, buyer appointments are buyer listings. So we have seller listings and buyer listings. So if you need to do 2 a week to hit your goal, pre-book them in your calendar. That doesn't mean that you can't move them, but it'll make your life easier if you say, you know what, I've got Tuesday at 4 or Wednesday at 5:30 available. Do either one of those work for you? If you have to move it, that's okay. But if you have them in your calendar with a different color and you have that visual, it's going to make it a lot easier. So can you do 2.7? That's not even, you do 3 a week. That doesn't sound scary. This is what is, I believe, the most important thing for you to now go in and start working on an actual plan. Because now you have the goal, you have the number that means something to you. Questions on any of this at all? Does it make sense? I see yes, I see blank faces.
I was just gonna make a suggestion. We did this last year. Putting a number on what you needed to have was like unbelievable. But what I'll tell you is that we're seeing it with this number right now, right? There, every other agent that's in this market right now is not doing this market. So, you look in our room right now, we have 180 agents coming into the meeting right now. Doing this today is huge for next year. So everything that you're doing right now, you've got a month start on everybody else. And I can tell you, when you open up your calendar on January 1st and you don't have any business and you have no transactions, that's scary. But it's a lot less scary right now looking at it at December 2nd. You've got a month to work on it. So I applaud.
I do too. And this is so important, but it means a lot to me that you all are taking the time to be here today, because I want you all to be successful. But when you, and I'm going to do a little bit of just a tiny bit of coaching here. In the past, when you've tried to say, okay, for 2022, I want to do 40 transactions, and you didn't do this first, where did the number come from? Where did the number come from? I want to do better than the guy in the office next to me and he did 37, so I'm gonna do 50 next year. No, that doesn't serve you, doesn't serve your family. When you think about that, where did that number come from? Now, the biggest thing you can do is take this, and we're gonna move into the plan for the numbers for the logistics. Go back to your life by design, and I don't care if you just write it down, do a vision board, whatever makes you happy. But put it on a piece of paper and put it in your office and look at it every day, because I'm gonna guarantee you the bold logic makes you think, emotion makes you act. And if I'm looking at this and I know that I want to take my grandkids on a Disney cruise and I don't feel like picking up the phone, and I look at that and go, you know what? I've only made 10 calls and I promised I would make 20 today. I'm going to do that other 20 because that's important to me. If that makes you feel crazy and you don't sleep at night, I'm sure pretty much every single one of us, including me in this room, has been there. Put a dollar amount and look at it every day when you are working. Because when you don't feel like doing the lead gen and you don't feel like doing the work, think about how that makes you feel. Think about how good you'll feel if you say, you know what, I need to make 5 more contacts, or I need to text or follow up, whatever it is you do that is your lead gen preference. I can do it because I know that if I knock $5,000 off of that debt in the next quarter, I'm going to sleep better at night. And that's going to make me a better mom, a better wife, a better nana, whatever. That's where the drive comes. You have to connect that number to why it's important to you. Because there's going to be days where you're going to want to sit on the couch and read a book. And we all have them. The other thing is if you get or watch TV or whatever, play with our grandkids more than we should, because we really should be working, but they're so cute, you know. Seriously, guys, I mean that, okay? This is what, when you talk about big whys, in, you know, it's what do you want? Why do you want it? That's the purpose of this business, is to fund your perfect life. And it brings us joy because we like helping people. I love first time buyers and handing them the keys. Oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. It makes my heart explode.
Just to your point, on the wall in my office, see a picture of a in-ground pool in my backyard. There's grass. It's there. Yesterday, I sent back $27,000 of concrete work that's going on here. How many transactions? 5. I want to put a pool house. What's that? 40 or 50. Transactions. It'll be done. It'll be done.
Yeah.
You do the work.
Well, and here's a story I heard yesterday. So yesterday, if you didn't see it and I didn't really publish it, I was interviewed by CBS 58 yesterday. For the Milwaukee Homeless Veterans Initiative. While we were kind of talking about stuff, it's actually the director of operations told me a similar story, which I didn't know about her. They are angels. They're amazing people, side note. But here's the thing. Her father is from Colombia. He was born and raised there, came here to go to college, stayed here, got married. He's a car salesman. He's been a car salesman all of his career here. Okay. He goes to Colombia for January and February every single year. He knows exactly how many cars he needs to sell so that his condos expenses are paid for here, that the Airbnb that he rents is covered, what his food's going to be, what his travel is going to be. He has a lot of family there and he goes there for 2 months. And she said for the entire time growing up, they rent the place in Monaco for 2 weeks every year. He still takes his kids and now his grandkids. That is all set ahead of time. He knows exactly how many cars he needs to sell. And his sister just lost her husband. And he decided to take his sister and their kids on a cruise to get them out. He knew exactly how many more cars he needed to sell in October and November to pay for that cruise. Think about what your life would be like if you could do that. Okay, fund your perfect life by this. Don't make this a job that's all consuming. Okay, makes sense? All right, so now we're gonna take a little bit of a break and I'm gonna give you some paperwork and we're gonna work on a business plan. We're gonna take the information that you have and we're gonna look at what is that goal. We're gonna do just business. Okay, so it's what is your goal? How many houses do you want to sell? Or what is your GCI, whatever that looks like. And then we're gonna look at the 3 priorities. And the 3 priorities for the MREA are leads. Come on, somebody help me. You guys know this. Leads, listings, and leverage. And I'm gonna give you the paperwork to fill out. Leads, listings, leverage. So think about that. I'm gonna pass the paperwork out. If you want to take a break, use the bathroom, take 5 minutes. And if you have questions, come up here and I'll get stuff out. Warm in here, is it just? And you guys are sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally I am too. Now, this is also online in there, so I'm gonna give you, and we're not gonna use all of this. Different types in here. But I also have it online, it's online for you. This one?
Just one.
Or at least it's not making sense.
No, right. Chris, when you're
Hey, I have a
handing out,
question.
can I give you something?
Me
When
too.
you're done, hand it out.
It's just, I'll run it through first. Something. Yeah, I'm fine, it's just not. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
For what I'm saying.
No, I'm trying to figure out,
Mine is-
so I was transferring what I had last time to Dan's now. Since I bought it, I'm trying to figure out
What?
what I wanted it.
See, and I did all mine on here and it turned out fine, and I don't know what it's something in this thing.
But I don't know if maybe.
Did
I
you
just-
back out of something? What
I
is
might
it?
not be doing it, so. So that's.
So it's not.
So where would that be? Where would that be transferred? from?
Well, he.
Yeah.
It's not in there.
So I should be changing that.
Well, yeah.
We might.
Why did I got two padded updates on this? And I go with it, you know, you want to.
So. Yeah.
I just.
I wonder why you're here.
How you doing? Oh, yeah. All my summers.
I did mine.
Hi.
I just like.
This is my son.
I know.
Yeah. this is actually my mind.
About 3 more minutes, guys.
We get, like, in a minute, can we get ready to get started?
decided, so.
Get out of here.
No
Okay, can we get ready to get the plan done? That'd be great. I was gonna say, you guys are gonna be getting awful warm over there in the sun. Okay. Okay. So now that you have the number of transactions that you want to close in 2023, to live your life by design, we're going to do the GPS or the 1, 3, 5. So the first 2 pages, the one with the red print on it, I would not say use this now. This is a really good one to, after you really do a deep dive. The other one you have, number 1, it's on the screen. I have a digital version. I'm going to show you the digital version on how to use it, because using a GPS and a 411 for the entire year is really, really good practice. And it's really easy to have this. So make a copy of it if you choose to use it. But if you want to just write it out, there's the planning 135 that you also have. So real quick, if you want to use the digital version, there is a template for 411. There's a 411 for every month. But if you scroll, you're going to see GPS Biz Plan 2023 that you can fill in here. And GPS Q1. And there's a reason for that. You really should plan by quarter only, for a lot of different reasons, including the fact that we have seasonality in our business because we live in a place that gets really cold in January. Nobody wants to go outside. Okay, so Gary Keller tells us that in order to hit our goal, we should have 15% of our transaction goal that to close in January or February. You should have 15% under contract. Now, seasonality comes into play. That's a really good general rule. Here, typically, if you've got 10%, so if you want to close 40 transactions in 2023, the rule is you should then have 10% or 4 transactions under contract as of January 1st. I will still tell you that what we find here, because of seasonality, and now we have a market that's wonky, that if you're doing 5%, because when we try to break it up by quarter, planning by quarter makes it much easier. It's much more manageable. It's a smaller number. It's not overwhelming. And it also gives you the opportunity to course correct if you're not hitting your numbers. Okay. So if you want to close 40 transactions in 2023, you typically, with what we look at is 15% in the first quarter, 15% in the last quarter. Okay, so that's 6 transactions, first quarter, 6, fourth quarter, and the majority of it in the second and third quarter. Okay, so that's 28 transactions in the second and third quarter, because that's when we're busiest and that's when people start coming out. Even if we have buyers coming out in February, I always tell sellers, or spring market starts when? It's not in May like they think, right? They go, oh, well, April, May. No, end of January, guys. Get your house ready. Let's go. So, you know, when you're doing the quarterly plan, say, okay, I'm going to do 15% of the transactions I need to close. I'm hoping for more, but my goal is 15% in the first quarter, and then ramp it up second and third quarter, because the other piece is at the end of each quarter, you're going to measure your gap. Okay, so let's say that your goal is 10 transactions in the first quarter, and it's now March 15th, and you're behind. So now what do you do? What do you do?
You gotta put the numbers. Yeah.
I mean, if you have a coach, Matt's coach is gonna tell you, I will tell you, if I am coaching you, you have a gap of 3 transactions. Now, you wanna know that by the end of the first quarter, because what if you're not paying attention? And it's on the end of the third quarter and you have a gap of 10 transactions and you're going, I have 3 months to make up an extra 10 transactions to make my goal. How am I gonna do that? At a time where we're not as busy. So I encourage you to do this for 3 months. Determine how many closings, because you're gonna watch it, look at it, and know what your gap is, and you should know what your gap is at the end of every month. So if your goal is, say, just for sake of numbers, 9 transactions in the first quarter, and it's the end of January, and you've only done 2, now you need to ramp it up to make up to do 4 in February. Do not wait, because you will fall too far behind, and that's what we see. Fall so far behind, you can't catch up. Okay, I had an agent I'm coaching that said, I'm short 18 transactions, and it was October 3rd. It's a solo agent. Where are you gonna find them? I can do it. Okay, what does your pipeline look like? Well, I have 5 buyers in my pipeline. That doesn't work. So you need to pay attention and know. And if you got a gap at the end of January, make sure you add it in February. If you still have a gap in February, add it in March. If you have to make 5 more calls, if you have to go do more door knocking around a listing, whatever it is that you do, if you know it, you can course correct right away, and it's much easier. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do. When you look at either, if you're going to do it online, it's easier. If you want to write it on paper first and then put it online, that's easier too. But here's what I want you to do. So we're going to look at the 135, your GPS. Write your goal. The 1 main business objective and goal for the year. So this is your business goal, your number of transactions.
So if we're doing it online, we want to be on the GPS Biz 2023.
Yes.
Okay.
And do an online course. So right below it on line number 4, you can write in the goal is to close however many transactions it is you want to close in 2023. Okay. So then truly the best way to do this and not get in the weeds, because everybody tries to change this up. Your 3 priorities: leads, listings, and leverage. Okay. Leads, listings, leverage. So I want you guys to think about, let's strategize a little bit and then go into the priority number 1 on leads and put your best strategies in there. So number 1, do you know where the majority of your leads come from? Door knocking, sphere of influence, sphere of influence, sphere of influence. Okay, so you know where. So your strategy number 1 is your sphere of influence or your database. Now, this is for annual. When you go into your 411, we will break it down into what does that look like. It's also going to go into your leverage. What does that look like? So I would encourage you, if you're writing down sphere of influence or your database equals 36 touch DTV2 system. What system are you using, or what system do you want to use in 2023 to make sure that you're touching your database the way that you should? So go ahead and if that is, if you're for you guys, if your number one lead source for leads is door knocking, do you have a system? Yes, I know you do. And do you have a number of door knocks that you do every week? And that's what goes into his 411, so that every week he can say, these are my standards. This is what I do. This is where I get my leads from. Okay. So you can go in here and say, okay, leads, strategy number one, database door knocking, whatever it is that you get the vast majority of your leads from. And put in there, what is it that you are either doing right now that's working, or a system that you want to put into place in 2023.
So say, just because we're very new to all of this, and we're looking at our sphere of influence, and we haven't really gone through the training on the different sphere of influence methods, so what would you recommend?
Okay.
I haven't worked through that yet.
And so next week, we're going to work through the touch
Okay.
system, because your databases should always be your number one lead source. And yours may switch over time because you do both. I mean, are they pretty equal? Do you get a lot? Because you get a lot of leads from your database too, right?
Yeah. It's like,
Okay.
and especially now, we have to kind of change that for winter house. For sources.
I need to check that.
So really, your database, your sphere of influence in your database, those are people that already know and love you. And so they're the easiest ones to talk to. And that's where you're going to get the most business from. So your first strategy really should, your source of lead should be your database. And next week, we're going to go through the touch system. And there's a lot of really easy and free ways to plan to do that. And so for you, your strategy for the first quarter, and here that if you're doing something for somebody that's newer, or you haven't really done a touch system yet, or worked doing the database 2 system, if they have paperwork here that we'll go through. If for your leads, for you, database or sphere of influence, and then the system will be, your strategies will include making sure everybody is in command, making sure, and this is for all of you, making sure you have all the information. Now is a great time to go into your database and clean it up. Because when you're cleaning it up, you're going to call people. So now is the time to set up tags, which we'll talk about in another class, but we can go through that, or Kelly, and we can all go through how to set that up. But now is the time to make sure you have email addresses, to make sure that you have cell numbers. Because if you're going to use Smart Plans as a piece of your system, you stay in touch with your database, you need to have accurate information. Okay, so leads, what are your lead sources? What are your strategies to get leads from those sources? And a lot of people have more than one. If you've been in the business for a while, you have at least 3. Typically it's 2 or 3. Sometimes it's more, depending on how many. You've been door knocking and getting good results from that as well. So your top lead sources, and what are your strategies? What's working that you want to continue to do? Think about what's not working. And should you continue to do it? And what system or systems do you want to put in place to get leads? Okay, so that's where you're going to track this on here. Then it's listings. Listings is different. And if we go into the MREA, you have to have leads. That's where you start. That's the foundation of the triangle. Okay, the second most important L, if you haven't read the MREA, you should be. This one doesn't have as many tags as SHIP has in it, but there's a lot. But listings too, the second most important L is listings. Leads are vital, but listings are critical to your ability to build to the highest level. So when you talk about, and what I love in here, he talks about listing and buying opportunities. And of course, listing opportunities, they always in the MREA have as more important in this market. And if you're building, you need buyer leads too, buyer listings and seller listings. Okay, so when you're looking at your GPS for listings, we're talking about once you lead gen, you want to get listings, most of that is going to be skill-based. Okay, so I know there's some samples out of the MREA that listings are talking about, again, where are they going to come from? Is it database, sign calls, whatever? And Kelly, please jump in if you want to share on some of this stuff. But listings, when we look at leads, listings, and leverage, listings, skill-based. Having the conversation, being able to have a conversation and get the appointment, being able to go on the appointment and get the listing. How many of you, most of your appointments come from your sphere of influence or referrals? So pretty much everybody. You guys are still learning, and that's all good. Because you don't have any of the bad habits going into a different market, like some of us have. So it's when you're getting listings means that we need to up our value proposition in this market. Okay. There's going to be more competition because there's a lot more agents that are going to be buying for a lot fewer listings. And the same thing with buyers. So now is the time to understand how to talk to and handle objections. There's a lot of ways to do that online. There's scripts and role play all over the place. But we're going to continue to try and do that as well. So where do your leads come from? What are your strategies? Getting listings. I would encourage you for your strategies on the listing piece to be scripts and role play. Right? Here's the thing, 85% of the agents in the entire country have never experienced a shift or a buyer's market. What that means is that you're not educated or experienced in handling objections because you've not heard any before. Right? Jay? Sorry, you know what? I'm going to try and sell my house on my own. I hear it's still a really hot seller's market. So sorry. I'm glad you came over. I appreciate your time, but I'm just going to sell it myself. Talk to me.
I was at Wold on Wednesday and one of the home warranty. Maybe one things that we do in the transaction. So that's one of the things you can come back to. Do we have any idea of the process of obviously no, but I heard not hard. Well, we have time for me to go over this process. Until possibly 180. Really? Absolutely. You have time tomorrow or this week. Sure.
Yeah. We need to be skill-based and we need to know our value. Two things that came up in the call again on the pivot shift call. If you're not on, you should be this morning. Exactly what he just said. We need to understand what our value proposition is because we're going to be in competition more than we ever have been in a really long time. We need to know our value proposition and we need to know what to say. You know what, Dave? Yeah, I guess maybe I should hear about it before I try and get myself in trouble, huh? I can meet you tomorrow. But we need to know that because I want a listing appointment on Wednesday morning. It's an estate, sorry, it's a trust, and there's multiple siblings. So everybody knows at least one of the siblings says, we can sell it on our own because I want more money, right? I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't gotten a response. And I know this family, So I know I am 100% certain, and I hear there's a lot of infighting between the siblings, so I'm stepping back and gently just saying, hey, so I don't know what's gonna happen, but the conversation was, and again, it's skills, and this is where I would put under listings to up your skills. One of the things that that I've been doing for pricing, because because the other two sisters wanted different realtors, even though the trustee is a family member of mine. Well, she's married to my cousin. So, okay, I've known these people forever, so I know just to kind of back off. But here's what I did. I went in and I pulled numbers from March through the end of June, July 1st to the middle of September, and then September to the end of November. And I showed them, hey, look, days on market went from 4 to 16 to 30 something. The list to sale price ratio went from 111% to 101% to 94%. The cost per square foot sold went from $254 a square foot to $201 to $174. A $50 per square foot swing. Guys, you can't get that number. I know the neighbor's house that is exactly the same that was built by the same builder sold for $535. I'm telling you, $450. And they're probably not going to list with me because the one sibling thinks it's worth $535. That's okay. You know, you can only do your best, but I was able to handle the objections. This is where under listings, guys, you need to be able to know how to find this information, how to use it, and how to handle objections. You know, Jay came to me and said, no, I think I'm just going to sell my house on my own. You know what? I can understand why you might think that's a good thing. Tell me more. Keep asking, because the more you say that, the more you're going to hear what their real objection is. And then you need to know how to talk to them. So listings, I'm telling you here, listings needs to be, how do you convert appointments, build your skills. And then when we get to leverage, we know we're getting close to time here. When you get to leverage, which is your third priority. Leverage is not necessarily people. In fact, most of the time it's not people. Okay, so leverage is systems. It might be people. Okay, it might be a part-time virtual assistant. It might be a transaction coordinator. And I know when we hear people, we hear money. So here's what I would encourage you to do when you get to leverage and you're thinking people. Track, like for a transaction coordinator, track how much time you spend when you get a listing. Make you smiling. How much time do you put into putting a listing into MLS, uploading the photos, organizing the photos, writing the description, having it go live, uploading all the documents? Then when you get an offer, you are putting everything into opportunities, you are putting all the paperwork in. And oh, by the way, you're still tracking all of the dates and deadlines, making sure that everything is taken care of properly and that they're met, right? So I would encourage you, the next time you get a listing, track how much time you put in, and then how much money per hour did you make on that sale. So if you put in this many hours and this was your commission and you went, oh man, I'm good. I made $175 an hour. No, you didn't, because you just spent 20 hours doing admin stuff. But now think about if my rate is $175 an hour and I spent 20 hours doing admin stuff and I paid someone $495 to do all of it for me. And I took half that time and invested it in myself and my family and the other half that time making calls and getting more listings. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Because you're going to make a whole lot more money talking to or seeing your people than you are uploading photos. Okay, so leverage, systems. Do you have everyone in command? Do you have all of their information in the right way? Guys, that's critical. There is so much you can do in command to stay in touch with your people. And we're gonna do all of that. But the systems, the touch systems are huge. And you still can pick up the phone and call. Sending them a text message once a month does not replace having a conversation and building a relationship.
Right, good one.
Okay, so leads, listings, leverage, put in all your lead sources, what you're going to do,
Yeah, but I'll leave that.
what your strategies are to stay in touch with and run those systems. Listings. Where are they gonna come from? Those lead sources. Go through and we'll help you, and I can direct you in a lot of different places to learn. How do I have the conversation? What is it that I need to know in this market? But make sure that you do that. And then on leverage, what systems do you want to use in 2023? Or do you not know enough? And we can have a conversation about it. Okay, your systems may be just a matter of what is the system that I can follow when I get a new listing, when I have a buyer. Am I gonna hire somebody to help me put the transactions in? What does that look like? If I'm gonna do it myself, what does that look like? Have a system so that you don't miss anything. Okay, but your touch systems are huge in command.
Yeah.
Huge. And then talk through and think about, what are you doing now that's successful? Okay. I do client parties, that's my thing. I mean, what does your touch system look like that generates business for you guys?
I do my events. We like to do them quarterly. We haven't been consistent on quarterly. High day was huge for us just because. Front and we filled up the dining room and your pizza and thing, and people drove from all over to come. I was surprised that he didn't come from outside of Whitewater. Coming to do that. And it was great. I mean, it was like 3 pieces of pizza and 2 cups of beer, right, per person. I mean, it seems like a lot of money at the end of the day, but the truth is pretty well. Now every Tuesday before Thanksgiving, they've got, you know where they're going, right? You just need that. Kind of like I would bet that your client events, if you do the same thing every quarter, they get used to that.
The client event in July, they're already asking me about my pie party in November. Do you have a date? Where are we going this year?
And right now we're kind of torn because we stopped doing from your friends because it was very Milwaukee located and we're not in Milwaukee. But we tried Lolo and we had limited success with Lolo, and we're kind of, I mean, Lolo's a great idea. It's just that because it pops up in everybody's email as a possible spam, a lot of people, they never.
Okay, so time out from your friends. If you guys don't all know what that is, and it's true, not everybody does. Okay, so there's systems out there. From your friends is a company that negotiates with local restaurants and other small businesses, and it sends out a postcard for you every month. Automatic, you set it up, it goes out. So the one we just got is for, can't remember. Because I don't use I mean, I could, but I don't. I'm trying to think of what restaurant it was for. One in West Dallas. What's the German restaurant in West Dallas? It's been there forever.
Kegels, yeah, Kegels in.
So Kegels, and it's I think it's $15 off on a dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing with something like that. It's depending on how many you send out. It's anywhere from like 84 to 97 cents a postcard, and you don't do any work. Okay, how cool is it? Because we're trying to bring people value. That's a system you could put down under leverage. That you're going to do a monthly touch by sending out a from your friends postcard. I have people go to restaurants and take pictures of themselves in the restaurant with the postcard. And put it on Facebook. Thanks to our realtor, Chris. We always wanted to try it, and she sent us an offer where we got $15 off dinner. It was really cool. Thanks, Chris. Okay, that's really easy. I didn't have to do anything except put their name and address and pay for it, and it's cheap. Okay, and I know Lolo's up, there's one, but, because they're in a different area, because most know that it's mostly Milwaukee, Waukesha, but more city stuff like Keggles and West Dallas, Casablanca, on the North Shore. Sometimes there's oil change stuff in there, you know, because they kind of had a hard time during, the pandemic when everything was shut down, all these restaurants were shut down. So they were trying to find things that might still be open, and it was like car washes and oil changes, which we need. So those are the types of things. So think about the system. How many times do you want to touch people? The first thing is you're gonna call them once a quarter. Should do a monthly mailer. There is a system I'll share next week. You know, but think about, and you don't have to have it set right now if you're not sure, because people who are newer, you know, if you're not sure, we're gonna talk more about that, about what systems are available, what you can do to touch people. But that's, you know, your first priority is leads. This is what we should be doing, is let's set up the system to touch everybody as much as possible. Client parties are really awesome because you're going to touch them 5 to 7 times for everybody. So you don't need a reason. Because that's the biggest thing we hear, right? Well, I don't know what to say. She's smiling. Guys, their care calls, if they're people you know or they're past clients, it's just a hey, you know what? I was driving through your neighborhood and I was thinking about you. How are you? What's new in your world? Do not stop with how are you, because they'll say fine. What's new in your world? They'll talk to you.
Hey,
Eventually, they're going to ask
do
you,
you
oh my gosh, I
have-
keep reading all this stuff. How's the market?
you pay your card payment through Chrysler, right?
What should be your
Do you
answer?
have an old statement, so I can have the phone number, because I can't find my.
It
card payment
depends.
there, and it's due Sunday.
Come on, bold
and-
people. It depends. Are you thinking of buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate? Usually they say none. Cool. I get it. You know, that's great. I appreciate you asking, because it does seem like from what you hear that there's really a lot of bad stuff going on. And let me tell you, it's not. It's just changing, and it's, you know, what you know the rest of it if you're paying attention. 7% interest rates are average. It's all good. There's still really qualified buyers out there. It's still seller's market because their inventory is low. And then the next thing is, who do you know that's thinking about making a move? You don't have to give them details. Just tell them it's fine. It's adjusting. And oh, by the way, who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? Okay. Business plan on this. This is where you should be working right now. And I would encourage you to use the spreadsheet. So leads, listings, and leverage
Yeah.
for the
or-
year. And then if we want to get together and go through to do a deeper dive just into this, just let me know. We can even get on a Zoom with a small group. But this is where you need to say, okay, here's my goal. Here's how I'm going to get it. Here's the lead generation I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to work on getting buyer and seller listings. Here are the systems, the leverage are the systems, or if I'm too busy, I'm going to hire a part-time virtual assistant, or I'm going to get a transaction coordinator, or use a transaction coordinator at Focus. Okay, and then this is where you, and you may be tweaking this over time. If you come next week, you're probably going to tweak the systems. Okay, because we're going to show you a whole bunch of stuff that you can do for little no cost.
I got mine in the mail the other day.
And then once we get to that point and we get the set, and I'm happy to help you with that. I just want to show you what the 411 looks like.
Because I pick a different area every month.
It's going to show you, you're going to put your annual goal in here. So you can put in, okay, my annual goal. This might say my annual goal is 40 transactions. What's cool about doing it in here is you can go here. What I do is I track it.
All right, thanks.
So I can go in the next column
Alright.
and I can update it every month to the number of transactions. You can either put in how many you've closed so far for each month, you know, a running total for the year, then you know what your gap is. So that's why I like using this spreadsheet instead of paper. But then you've got your monthly goals. Okay, so I know that if I want to close 40 transactions and I'm in the first month of the second quarter, and the second quarter goal is 12 closings instead of 8 that I had in the first quarter, I know that I have to close 4 a month. So you're able to go in here, let's, my monthly goal is 4. But here's the biggest piece of it then, is you have the information on your GPS that says my weekly goals, and you can put in each week for the month. So now you can say, okay, it's the first week of the month. My goal is always to have 2 listing appointments, you know, 1 seller, 1 buyer, whatever that looks like. How many calls do I need to make? How many people do I need to see to get that appointment? Get those appointments. And that's where you're gonna put your weekly goals in. Notice that there's personal goals on here as well. That's really important. Don't skip it. Okay, but you have the number and you have how many you need to do each week. So when you go to the quarterly goal, and you make copies of this if you want, or ask me, I've got more. You need your quarterlies divided up for each quarter so you know how many it is. Is this helpful? What questions do you have that I can help with? You look scared. It's okay. It's okay. Just look at this and then let me know. I am happy to get on, and I've been thinking about getting on a Zoom, and I've done it with some of the other agents. Okay, you want to get on a Zoom and mastermind about, you know, the listings piece and practicing scripts and role play on how to convert to get to appointments. Let's do that. If you want to get on a Zoom, there's a lot of other agents here too that do phenomenal things with their touch system. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there. Nicole does really cool stuff. I know that Tina Reddick's got some really different stuff that she does to bring value. I mean, we can get a list and bring everybody together and help you guys with that. Because now is the time to dive in and do it. Like you said, I mean, it's December 2nd. Nobody else is doing this. But now you know the why of your number. You can divide it up. And like I said, I would do 15% first and last quarter, the rest of it in the middle of the year. And come next week, if you absolutely can't, I know it's being recorded, but we're gonna go through setting up your communication system. And there are so many things you can do, including a really, really, really cool email to get everybody's birthdays. Because there's a birthday smart plan. And it's really cool. And we get people all the time to respond. There's a smart plan you set up on their birthday. They get a really cool text with some emojis and stuff. And then you get a reminder to call them and do a social media post. Hey, that doesn't cost you anything except a couple minutes to call them and say, hey, happy birthday. What's new in your world? You have a great day, right? That's a big deal. But that doesn't cost you anything. And the letter with the Google form, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to share a bunch of stuff, and I'm asking others to share stuff as well. All right. Anything else that I can help you guys with today?
I still needed I don't know where to find the office conversion rates or like listing conversion, appointment conversion. I need the office.
You know what? I'll get them from either. Because I don't know.
Okay.
Because they changed from what I'm used to. The office is different than what. And I think ours is a little bit. Right us. Earlier, we were talking about that. Thank you.
It's filled out.
Yes.
No blanks.
No blank. All right.
All right. Question. We're used to using Excel. So I say please. So where do I find, I'm afraid to close them because I don't want them to be gone.
You are open up a new tab.
Yeah.
Go to the box of circles.
Yeah, what do I use?
My dad's.
Right. Okay, I want a sheet. Okay.
All right, there they are.
Here they are. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. So we're getting. All right. Stuff like that. I can have a Carlos.
Go ahead.
And then the Friday after. I